Okay, so now I'm gonna tell you a story I call Amnesia on my website, on my blog, memoirofrecklessgirl.com. And this story is about a car accident. Um, so it was 2002, and in May 2002, my brother, who um I had always wished I was closer to, and for reasons out of both of our control, we just weren't raised together, and we just didn't see each other much. Anyway, so in 2002, he bet on the quattrofecta, on the Kentucky Derby, and the horse everyone was betting on. The way I remember this story was there was this horse, Lucky, that was sure to win the Kentucky Derby, and he broke his leg. And my brother always bet on all the underdogs. And so the four horses that he bet on came in order, in the order he bet. Um, and the first couple horses came in order, and he ran down to the bar. He was so excited he won like a few $1,000s. But when he got there, he realized that he had won the whole bet. And on a $20 bet, he had won $203,000. And and he just partied like a rock star. Um, there's a lot to that story. But anyway, in June, he killed himself. And he had 50,000 left, and he had promised my grandmother 50,000 to fix the roof of her house. And I believe the money ultimately went to her. So in his mind, probably he had nothing left when he passed. But anyway, so I was 4 months sober in AA when that happened. Another story led me to that. The guy I had been seeing was in jail for something that happened between us. And I went south for a minute when he first went to jail, but then I had realized that I needed help, and I was going down a path I didn't want to go down. I was like 22, 23 years old. I was 4 months clean and sober when my brother hung himself, and I got through that, and I stayed sober because, using wasn't going to bring him back, and I was all strong and all that shit. And um, I stayed sober a couple more months, and then the boyfriend, I had gotten a 1 year restraining order on him, and he had been done serving his time in jail. He served 9 months. And so he had been out a few months, and he hadn't like killed me yet or anything. So maybe he wasn't gonna. And he's the one that introduced me to AA, but we lived in the same area, so we were gonna end up at the same meetings. And it was like a month after my brother killed himself. So I was like 5 months sober. It was like July, so the month of my birthday. Um, I saw my ex walk into a meeting, and I mean, we haven't seen each other in fucking, I don't know, 15 years now. But the way it always was like I got butterflies every single time I saw him, and we had been together 10 years. And anyway, fuck. Why do I do that? I space. Anyway, so I saw him walk into a meeting, and he saw me, and he turned around and walked out. And it had been 13 months since the incident, and so the restraining order had been up for a month. He still hadn't killed me. So I went outside to talk to him, and I said, listen, there's 100 people in this meeting, And there's no reason we can't both be in here. Don't feel like you have to leave a meeting just because of me. There's no restraining order, you know. And he was like, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Blah, blah, blah. I'm in so much pain. I need you. I'm lonely. So he had all these emotional problems I could fix. You know, I couldn't fix my brother's problems, but I could fix this man's problems. Plus, I was just obsessed with him. So we get back together. He told me he was 13 months sober at the time. It was more like 13 minutes. So he was using, but I'm still clean and sober. And I start finding like remnants of using in his apartment, and I'm realizing that he's using. And so the story is called Amnesia because I don't remember. So I'm 6 months sober. My mom said I took my son with me to the beginners meeting, but I came home to drop him off. I don't know. She says I went back to the meeting. I came back. So now it's 10:30 p.m. And I tell her I'm in a fight with the guy. I'm going to get my things from his apartment. And she already knows what had previously conspired between us, and she did not care for him, and she said, don't go. And I guess I left. And so, here's my mom's house. Here's his apartment. Okay? It takes 20 minutes to get from here to here. There's almost one straight road that goes between them, just about, right? So my mom says I leave the house at 10:30, completely sober, completely straight, and I swear to God, my mom could tell if I had sniffed the first beer I was about to drink. She'd be like, have you been drinking? She knew. So I'm completely sober at 10:30 p.m. All we know is this. At 12:30 p.m., here, heading towards his house, but 2 hours later, I'm going down the road, a road that the speed limit is probably 35, and I probably always drove 35, maybe if I was pushing it 40, if there was no traffic. I came up to a place where there was a brand new light. It was new. But both witnesses said, all of a sudden my car just veers over to the left. I go across the left lane. I hit the curb. My car goes up on two wheels. I go in between there's a telephone pole and a wire, and my car had to be sideways to get in between them. And then on the other side of that, there's a stone wall, which is the entrance to a condominium. And both witnesses said at impact, I had to have been going 80 miles an hour. I have no clue what happened. They said it took 2 hours and 45 minutes to get me out of the car with the jaws of life. Here, I'll show you something gross. Okay, that's my shin. Wait, you can't really see it. I don't know. Anyway. My shin bone is like, it goes junk. I broke the tibia and fibia in half. It was a compound fracture. So I snapped my shin in half. They almost amputated my leg. They did save it. The airbags stopped me from flying out of the car. But they were pulling glass out of my face. When they finally figured out who I was, they called my mom. My mom called my sister. My mom and one of my sisters was at the hospital, and they let them in the room while they were still picking glass out of my face because they didn't know what I had for internal injuries, how long I was gonna be here. God don't want me, not yet. But yeah, so they said I had barely over the legal limit to be drinking. So it was like a 0.1, which means like I might have had 2 beers. So still no reason for me to not remember at all, even if I was 6 months sober leading up to this. But I had astronomical amounts of a substance in my system. And my only connection to that substance was that guy. And I had been sober 6 months. I had no connections. But to this day, that guy will not admit he saw me that night. I don't know where I went, who I saw, what happened. And then at the hospital, they were asking me, did you do this on purpose? And I kept saying, I don't know. I don't know how it happened. And so they locked me up in a nut house for a while. I had a cast from my toes all the way up to my thighs. And I had all these ribs broken on the other side. And like trying to figure out how to roll over in the night. Oh my God. It was so painful. And if anything of it had to do with that guy, he did try to make it up to me. Like he would come over and give me my baths. Like that was real punishment or something. But anyway. So yeah, amnesia. I don't know where I went. Where was I for that hour and a half? How did I get that shit in my system? Where was I? Who was I with? What happened? Did I do this on purpose? But that's what I say. Like, oh, like I'm no geometrist. I don't know geometry, right? If I hit this fucking curb at that angle, at this speed, I'll go on the side wheels and hit the fucking, at this trajectory. Like, I'm not even smart like that. Like, it doesn't make sense I did it on purpose. But why? What happened? That was in 2002. September. So my brother killed himself in June. This was in September. I still don't know. It's 2025 now. I don't think I'm ever getting that back. I don't know what the morals of the story is.